Hey there, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our True Talk Thursday vodcast. Tonight is our third and final episode of a three-part series around assessments. So we're all wrapping up this series, and we have the honor and privilege of featuring a dynamic group of individuals that will speak to the role of assessments in building a strong sense of culture within schools, districts, and departments. In addition to that, the folks on this panel will also highlight ways to develop a culture of results through an equitable lens. Driving the conversation tonight, we have Dr. Maria Armstrong, who is Executive Director of ALAS. And so without further ado, Maria, take it away.
Well, first of all, Adrian and Gina, and we're trying to see if we can't get into the fold here. Maria Burgos, she's trying to jump on. And so when she does, we'll just welcome her into the Zoom room. And, really, this is not a webinar, so we're not here, just to field questions and interact that way. We're just here to have a conversation. Just want to chat. We've been hosting some podcasts centered around various topics, like Francois was mentioning. And so this third segment to a three-part series of this webinar, we've been talking about assessments, various kinds, and from various folks, from policies all down into how supports, resources have interacted when it comes to assessments, and what assessments are used for in the formal and informative stages of learning and teaching. So tonight we're just going to have a conversation about it, but we're going to take it to the point of assessment and accountability, the people first part of that. And I'm not saying which people, I'm leaving that to you all to have that conversation. But it really is about advancing this notion, this culture about results. And so with us tonight, we have Adrian, who is going to introduce himself, where he's from, what he does.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Adrian Bustillo. I'm the Chief Transformation Officer at Aldine ISD, located in Houston, Texas. In some of my roles, I oversee the Office of Transformation in the Magnet Department. So I'm leading the innovation at Aldine by creating, designing, and innovating schools to enhance student outcomes in partnerships with our district executive leadership to drive decisions that will increase high quality instruction in each seat and to accelerate the number of top rated schools in our district. I'm glad to be part of this tonight.
Wow, I didn't even script that for you. That was awesome. That was awesome. You're in the right space right now. I'll tell you that, Adrian. We're so glad to have you here. Hey, Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And I want Adrian to write my introduction, please.
Telling you.
I'm Gina Thompson. Really proud and excited to be here, but I am a superintendent for Yuma Union High School District. We're in the lower southwest corner of the state of Arizona. And this is my 31st year in this district. My third year as superintendent. So I started as a teacher and never aspired to be a superintendent when I grew up. So here I am, and very, very excited and fired up to be here.
That's awesome. And we're fired up to have you here. Thanks so much. And we're going to talk about those 31 years because they're going to be like a flash for you. So, and we also have in the Zoom room here, Maria.
Hi, everyone. I am Maria Burgos. I am Assistant Superintendent of Student Services in Cicero School District 99. So we're neighbors to Chicago. We're right across the street from them. This is my 19th year in the school district. I actually am privileged to have the opportunity to serve in the community that I grew up in. So that's really exciting for me. I was a student there. I grew up there. I was a teacher there. I was assistant principal, then I was EL director, then curriculum. I oversaw the curriculum, and now this is my second year actually as assistant superintendent, and I'm loving it so far. It's great. So, and it's awesome to be here with all of you. So thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you with us, and it's going to be really, really fascinating, I think, to be able to hear from all three of you when we lump together assessments and accountability, and what you think about when when we talked about the topic of, people first. And I've been asked about that. Why did you title it People First? I said, because I want to see where it's going to drive the discussion. Everybody has their own lens, right? And that's the beauty of this chat. So let me throw something in your way just to get the conversation going here. And it's just that, okay? You don't have to raise your hand. We're not in the classroom. I'm not going to call on you. Just jump in. People are pretty uncomfortable with airspace, especially adults. So, use that airspace. And if you cut somebody off, we know it's not intentional. It's just a format. So here we go. You all bring a lot of experience. And I'm wondering, what's your experience with a school, a district, a community, if you will, when it comes to assessments in general, whether they be formal or informal? What's your experience in cultivating that culture of really moving the dial for kids, advancing this whole notion of data-driven, data used, and so forth? So I'd like to hear, what your participation, your efforts, and results have been.
Awesome. I can start if you don't mind.
Jump in.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think when looking at assessments, I think we obviously have to take it from the lens of it takes a team effort, right? It's all about, when you talk about people, it's all about our students and what we're doing for them and what we're not doing for them in order to get them to forge ahead and to take them where we need to take them. I think from someone who actually grew up in the community taking assessments and knowing what, and being a second language learner myself, and also, knowing, the anxiety that comes with assessments and what we need to do as educators to prepare our students to ease some of that anxiousness and to get them there. I think the most powerful thing that we can do as educators is have them believe in themselves. And it's that ability of like, you're going to take this and you're going to do great and you're going to be amazing because si se puede and you can do it, and it's that empowerment and that sharing and of staff as well. Who takes our students to having them feel that way is the people that they encounter every day, right? Their teacher. If their teachers believe in them, they will take them there. One really powerful thing that we did was read Culturize by Jimmy Casas and really work towards, being, carrying the banner and being a merchant of hope. And I think, especially during these times, it's important for us to instill that, that we care and you are capable and we can do this together. And as a community, as a school community, with partnership, obviously, with the community and with the parents, we can take our kids where they're dreaming of.
So Maria is talking about where we can take them. What's been your experience?
My personal experience? Oh my God. I mean, we encounter different things, I think, in a school setting. You encounter, good and bad. You encounter people that believe and don't believe. Personally, there were some roadblocks along my way of like, being a second language learner, like I said, I actually came from Mexico when I was in 3rd grade, not knowing English. So, that belief of like, she doesn't know, she doesn't, no habla inglés, she doesn't, and it's hard for her. And, sometimes these barriers that we create for students, and then as students, we start believing until you encounter someone, right, that does believe in you, that teacher, a teacher that I had in high school who was like, what are you talking about? Like, you are so smart, you are so capable, like, let's go look at a university. Well, what's that? So it's people believing in you. And I think personally, that's what I always wanted to instill in my students. And what I told parents when I was principal, and even now when I have the opportunity to speak to parents, hey, you know what? Look at me. My parents came from where you came from. I am your child, and you guys are a reflection of who my parents were. There's no excuses here. We could make things happen. And as long as and it goes back to believing in them and setting the bar high and keeping the expectations high for our kids. And they can go anywhere we take them. That's for sure.
Awesome.
You know, I'm just all Team Maria right now. So
Awesome.
Gina said sign her up.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Not a girl, not a girl. I'm gonna kind of go on that same lens of the culture piece. And I'm gonna say, after many false starts and mistakes, right? It took me a while to understand, I guess when I became a principal, you know, I didn't realize the baggage that a lot of my staff had about assessments. And, you know, when I come in, it's like, what you see is what you get. And I'm very transparent, and, you know, no matter, it's open book. And I'm never going to lie to you, and you're going to know the whole story. But I didn't realize, because I'm so fortunate to be in a district that really did operate and allow me to operate like that. But when you pull staff from so many places and then you put them into a teaching environment, it's just like a family. You don't, you know, when you're merging families, you just don't know everyone's baggage. And I felt like I really made inroads in culture and climate when I finally, I'm not a patient soul, but when I learned that you have to go slow to go fast, and really spend the time front loading with your adults. You know, people hear me say all the time, take the bubble wrap off of the adults and put it around the kids where it belongs, instead of vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But for a while, especially as a new leader and now as a system leader, I feel like you really have to invest and help people understand that assessment is purposeful, and that accountability isn't a dirty word. And because in public ed, so much of it has been used against teachers, or they feel that way. It almost takes that, you know, it takes the Marias, you know, the strong, the passionate, the cheerleading, to really start to establish culture. Because if your teachers and your, you know, your leaders are feeling like it's never going to matter, our test results are always going to be, you know, low or whatever. So I might as well get prepared for that. But once you can get folks to buy in on that, and I just found that getting the influencers, even if we didn't always agree, but the influencers, the teacher leaders, and having them be a part of establishing the communication about that assessment, whether it's informal or formal, that was a real turning point for us. But it took me to realize that first you have to find out who it is that you're leading, and that they have to have the opportunity to meet you and trust.
Yeah, great points. I do try to pride myself on culture, climate, and instruction, because if we can do culture right, that's going to take care of your climate, and instruction is just going to go down with it. So as we in the building, go back to when I was a classroom teacher, I remember my first year teaching, like, hey, you're going to get the class. These students have been struggling on other assessments. I hope you can work with them. It's kind of, you know, let's see what we can do. So what did I do? I had to go in there, build a new culture. I had to build students to see where they're coming from, like what are their expectations, what do they want to do with their lives, and like work together to get them to one place. So taking that time to go a little bit further first goes a long way in assessment, and kind of explaining like the reason why we need to do these assessments is for reasons A, B, C, or D. Is this going to decide the rest of your life? Absolutely not. Like Maria said, si se puede. If you go in with that grit and that determination, our roles as educators should be able to build that culture for all stakeholders, ensure they can move forward with that work. And in my lens, like formal, informal, and innovation, like we can use this assessment data and go in any direction. We can reimagine schools. Hey, you know what? This is not working. This assessment's not working. Hey, let's take it down. Like, what do we do? Who's going to be the voice to help us build that? It needs to be the students. The students need to tell us what they need to build those steps and move forward. And then we need to help the teachers and get them to believe in that model as well, and help them push the importance of these assessments. Not necessarily to say this is our final state rating and we're going to get sanctions on this, but how do we use these assessments for growth and progress, and not just as the final hammer?
Absolutely, Adrian. I totally agree with you. I think one of the things that we do very well as an educational system is assess, right? We have an assessment for this because we want to figure this out, and we assess and we assess and we assess. And then next thing you know, everyone's assessed out, right? And what are we doing? And one of the things I remember as a building principal is hearing my teachers saying, okay, well, we did this assessment, now what? Like, okay, we're doing this, but could we really take the time, like Gina said, right? Like, to just go slow to go fast. Let's look at what we are assessing and how does this apply to me as a teacher? How am I going to use that data to guide what I'm doing in the classroom every single day? And if we don't take the time to do that, if we don't personalize the data for our teachers and we don't model with them, like to them and with them and collaborate with them and brainstorm with them on ways that becomes an application in the classroom, then they don't see there. It's just another thing that we're doing. And that's when you start facing that pushback of like, well, why do we have to do that again? Well, well, no, we need to find the reason, the application, and then also the follow-up. How do we loop back around to look at what the data is telling me and then reassess? And it takes time. And I totally relate to the go slow to go fast. We actually did this whole theme in our district about going despacito when that song was like in, because we were doing so many things, right? With like, yeah, we have to go despacito. We want to go far, but everyone needs to be with us, right? Everyone needs to be on the bus. No one could get, left behind, or else you're standing there by yourself. So I think that's so important. Application, why are we doing this? The purpose, and let's just get there together. And it takes, a team of us.
And I think even the word doing, our principals, we would say, well, we're doing this and we're doing that, just like Maria was just saying. So actually now they don't even use that word around me, because as soon as you tell me you're doing something, I say, prove it. And could we use the word, we are using this assessment for this purpose, but we're doing something. We're just so busy doing things. And so prove to me that what is it that you're doing and how are you proving that? And again, I think part of it is, I hate to use the word, but done to us. So then as leaders, we're responsible for sifting through that and having it make sense, so it's not so scary to our teachers and our students.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the agency of the students, the parents, and the community, like how do we engage our families to understand like what assessments we're doing in our building? Everyone knows our state assessments, like you're gonna get a grade, this is what it is. But before that, there's many other formal and informal assessments that happen throughout the school year. And some of them are showcased at open house. Some of them are highlighted on science and reading nights. Like those are assessments, like you had to get to some point, but you had to check for that understanding throughout the process. And what I've seen is that these activities that are outside the school hours, it's really a non-traditional approach of the way you're assessing the students. So paper, pencil is one way to assess, but there's also other ways to assess our students in this line of work.
That's a great segue to this other question or thought that I'm kicking around based on everything that y'all are saying. And that is, do you think that in public education as a whole, we still struggle with understanding what assessments from the federal, state, and local and classroom level are for, their purpose? And so, it goes back to, we're doing, like Gina said, doing, check. But what are we doing it for? And are we using the assessments for what they were designed to do? And are we communicating that to our staff so that they really understand that there are a plethora of ways to measure what kids are learning and when they're learning it and how to use that? Like to Maria's point, how do we get innovative? How do we create ways in which to, close those gaps? So I guess the question is, have we gotten any better at communicating what assessments and accountability are all about?
I'm going to say in the state of Arizona, no. So I think that's where it becomes up to the system leaders to make a decision, you know, in your community. I'm blessed. I live in a community where, you know, our state is A through F. With our state test, they feel it necessary to grade and label our schools based on one assessment. And it's very, very difficult to you know, speak positively of it, but you know, I'm not gonna say I like it on this because we get to be honest on here, right?
That's right. Yeah, and by the way, you know what? One of the things that just before you finish that thought, I want to make sure that everybody understands, you know, what we're sharing here. Just like myself, yes, this is Allah's hosted, but the opinions that I'm sharing are my own, just like yours. They're your opinions. We're having a conversation. If I had a fireplace behind me, it'd be a fireside chat. So feel free, Gina. You're in a safe space.
Well, and I'm lucky. My board knows I'm going to say what I want, and and I'm not quiet about it. And they still hired me, so you get what you hired. But you know, it's hard to rally around something that you don't believe in. So it's my job and our job as leaders to find ways to use those assessments to the best of our ability and use them and really rally around it so that kids do know that they have these, they can do this, like they can get through this. We're providing you the access, all the opportunities, and we believe in you. So then, you know, again, in our community, we're very fortunate. I'm a high school only district, 9 through 12, 11,400 students. And used to be a very small rural community, but they rally around the high school a lot. And the letter grade isn't the most important thing to our community. I know that that's unique. They want a good letter grade, but that's not my job. You know, it's not the end of my job if we don't all have A schools. That being said, we're also fortunate that we're able to decide on our own assessments that mean something to us. And so we've been able to do that at the same time. And then our jobs as professionals, teacher leaders and administrators, along with our students, we have crosswalked. You know, we use the ACT benchmark data and things like that now. So, you know, I'm just in a unique position where it's not so political that, you know, you have to do this or you're out the door. But I do feel that the published, the grade that everybody looks at in the media in Arizona is used to undermine public education in general. And I'm pretty vocal about that on the regular.
I think it's the same with us as well. We have this one assessment that, you know, that we take and, you know, that we're graded on, like you're saying, Gina. But I really like that you mentioned the assessments that we value. And I think one of the things that we like to emphasize, like with our community, with our parents, is that all of these provide a different snapshot of where we're at. And they tell us different things, whether we like the assessment or not. Hey, we have to take it, we take it, and we look at it, we analyze it, but then we look at what actually is going to give us a clearer picture of where our students are, and that's what we roll with, you know, and that's what we bring to our staff, what we analyze, you know, at the district level, then what we analyze at the building level, then what they take to actually look at like their school leadership team, and then in their professional learning communities. And that's how we look at data, like in that way. But I think it's about what you value and what you're going to give importance to, and what you're going to utilize that's going to take your kids to the next level. We right now use NWEA MAP in our school district, and that's pretty much the assessment that we look at to assess where our students are, and then and where we want to take them for now. So that's what we've been using.
And you know, you mentioned a couple of things, Maria. You know, what we give value to, right? Yeah. Whether we like something or not. Those are the words that popped right now, and that's where we're going to hold this particular episode to. because we'll be right back and we're going to start talking about, should we even continue with assessments, particularly this year? We'll be right back.
Hey there, and don't forget, if you like what you hear and want to gain some more insight into what school districts are facing now, then tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. or subscribe below. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great night.